I gotta
there.
ask you a quick question. Yesterday was good.
Excellent.
I don't know about that.
Oh, I don't get any work orders. Since they changed the computer system, I don't get
Check with Sherry on Monday. Oh, yeah. She checks yours.
Yeah, I figured.
Okay, I'll have her check.
Thank you.
I did.
Yeah. Does that mean you want me to bring you my cardboard from New Year's?
Did you get them up front? The sheets?
Absolutely.
They're in the back. Okay. You have to sign in and back there. Yeah. And also pick up whatever papers you want.
Yeah. Make it 2 boxes of cardboard. I just don't want to mispronounce her name. How are you?
Everroad, EVERROAD, like road forever, ever road.
Evan Road.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, it's 9:03. I'll now call the regular board meeting of Fort Park Springs Association Board of Directors to order. 9:03. Okay. All right, we have a quorum. Let's start out with our moment of silence. All by the pledges.
I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. We have a motion to approve the minutes from the general board meeting on January 15th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Now we'll move into the secretary's report.
We do have,
Okay.
we just have one correspondence for Miss Everroad. Everroad, right?
Yes.
Okay. The subject is Unit 3, We are desperate to find out why Unit 3 is being so run down and nobody is making or has to do what other units are doing to keep up their properties. Cleaning, repair, mowing their lawns, etc. Sincerely, Kathy L. Everroad. So we will address that at some point. And that's the only piece of correspondence that we have for the Secretary's report.
Okay, and so just to set expectations, when complaint forms or correspondence to the secretary come in for a meeting and they're read into the record, that's something that will then be placed on an agenda further down the road. So don't, I don't want to let it look like we, are getting this and then we're moving on. That's not the case. I mean, we get your correspondence and we'll address that and see what we can do about the claim. But there's nothing for us to do at this moment. But I just want to set that expectation that we're not just tossing it in the wind and saying, that's, all right, thank you, but nothing. So we'll get to it, and I appreciate you bringing this to us. We'll go to the Treasurer's Report. Will be done by Mr. Peterson today.
Treasury Report as of 2/19/2021, total cash on hand $857,097.03. Total cash on hand $391,029.77. Letter of credit is $152,000. Owed to the Preservation Fund $21,750.85. That's the current amount. I didn't give them that this month. Available Fort Clark Springs Association, $217,278.92. Total balance of restricted fund is $391,029.77. Motel revenue for this last month of January was $35,609.85. Room count 457 or 39.8%. Monthly income $35,609. Now, in comparison, last year, 2021, occupancy was 25%, revenue was $15,000. 2020, occupancy was 30%, revenue was $21,600. And we had a real big hit to us this last month because the DPS officers came down with COVID and they all checked out for 2 weeks. So that probably cost us another $10,000. So it's, even with that, it was 40% better than last year. RV Park is doing pretty much the same as last year. Bar lost money because we didn't have heat in place for 2 weeks, so it lost $1,600. Audit, okay. The profit and loss balance sheet. Total income $209,498. Expenses $191,511. Net income loss before depreciation, bad debt, $30,986. Year-to-date, income $865,331. Expenses $818,503. Net expenses loss before depreciation, bad debt, $98,827 income. Our balance sheet has $1,113,552 in assets and liabilities, equity.
Okay. P&L's in the back, correct?
Should be. Yeah. I think she made copies of it.
Yeah.
Maybe a glitch there.
Just for anyone who's picked up the P&L in the back, I just want to point out one change that the number moved to the wrong column. But if you look on the very first page on the income side, about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows down, $56,050 as the actual and $70,000 as the budget, leaving us with a deficit of $13,950. That is the supplementary assessment from last year. There was no assessment for this year, so when you run that through the numbers at the bottom, the number at the very bottom, total revenue in comparison to last year, which has a negative 20,530, that would be somewhere around 7,000 or 6,000 if you take out the 14,000 that's in the wrong column. So we're in pretty good shape in comparison.
And the reason that we're behind last year in the bottom line in revenue is strictly the fact we did not do the assessment. So that's the income is not there.
So you have a decrease in revenue from the assessment, and then there's a significant portion of the hunt program that was booked with prepays for last year, or was booked in last year. So it sets in the fiscal year, but it's a part of this year's hunt program. So overall, things are looking pretty good. Mr. Peterson mentioned the DPS and not being able to come in for a week and a half due to COVID. The reason I'm bringing that up is not only the loss in revenue, but when it comes to September and we start looking at CPIs and we say, look, well, we made all this money and we're good to go, you can see how fragile our income streams are that are actually holding us up, right? That are actually propping up the HOA. I mean, we had a virus come through, and here we are. We lost, $10,000. And that could be anything, right? We're very susceptible to the income streams that we have, just to the nature of what our income streams beyond our HOA fees are. I mean, we run a hunt program. I mean, inherently, there's dangers with a hunt program. That can shut down at any moment. Our revenue streams for the RV park and the motel, it's a 100-year-old building. Something can happen. There's only 2 of them, and that can shut down 50, 75% of your revenue is propping up your HOA. So this is a perfect example. January was a perfect example of what can happen if the HOA is not standing on its feet by itself. So just remember that come the end of the summer when we start looking at where are our dollars coming from, and where do we need to make sure that we're pulling those dollars in so we can support the facility going forward. So just a couple of notes there. Any questions from the board? From the membership? We'll go to the general manager's report. Kind of lump that together, or do you have a separate?
I sort of lumped it together, but
Okay.
I probably need to give a little more information.
Okay, thank you.
And I do want to expand on the fact of the motel. Our motel is not in the condition that we want it to be. But by having this DPS business, and yes, they're telling us they'll be here for 3 years, but this is a government operation. So I'm not anticipating, I've budgeted for it, but not to the level they're giving us now. But we still have 13 rooms left that we have to remodel. We have 3 that we're going with right now, should be done by the end of the month. Because Fort Clark days, we won't be able to do any. By the time we get the last 10 done, it'll be the end of the summer. So as long as this keeps going, it makes us look real good, but we're not that real good. I mean, we do not have as a sustaining tourism program that if they're not here, that we're going to be able to sustain it. So it's a matter of getting the stuff done now, getting a good product, and then if it does go away, then we'll have the product here to sustain some tourism. But like I said, it will be August the 20th before we finish the last 10 rooms, because they have taken so many rooms that we can only get the 3 rooms at a time. So those last 13 rooms will take a while. The bar, it was making its own until we lost the heat, but we got it going again last night, so it looks like we're okay for a while. Our audit, which has to be done in the next month or before our annual, is being finished now. And once we get our audit finished, our new accounting firm will come in, and I think that will be the last step for us to getting our books in order where they need to be. Delinquent counts are still under 10%, which is exceptionally good. And everybody's asked about the questionnaire I gave to Unit 1. I think one of the main issues I've heard from town halls and from talking to everybody is right now, security is one of our main issues. With all the illegal information and things like that. So we are following up with both the county and getting our radios in for our security and just training our security people how to handle different situations. Our laundry that we purchased the equipment for will be here in May. And our fitness equipment, I think we can have up and running by probably the 1st of April. The floor treatment will be coming in this week, or this coming week, and then we can get the equipment in there, so it'll take us about 3 weeks to get it installed. The par 3, we're finishing the last of pulling out the tree stumps. We're trying to locate the irrigation so that maybe we can get some of the grass started back up this spring and try to maintain it and probably and see what our options are after we get some water out there.
Are you talking about the one up front here?
Both of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you gonna replace any trees or put trees there?
Oh yeah, that's
I'm just curious.
been documented pretty well, our tree program, but it's not gonna be this year. I
Okay,
mean, it'll be in the fall this year.
okay,
We have to get the irrigation set and running where we're gonna put it. We have to identify what trees we're gonna do, and we can't put them out there in the summer. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be September, October, November before we put the trees out there.
okay, thank you.
You're still trying to identify, or that you decided on live oaks?
Well, all around the perimeter is gonna be live oaks.
Okay.
But if you look at down the center, you have some red oaks that have done pretty well in the last, so, I mean, that would probably intersperse some of those in and out of the interior of it. That's it.
Any questions from them?
Oh. And if anybody's watched, we have some real good volunteer efforts going on down at our pool and doing some buildings down there, so you'll see them painting and scraping, and that's Linda and her volunteers, and our volunteers from the RV park have been doing a lot of work in the last couple of weeks, so feel free to go out and pick up a paintbrush.
Any questions at this point from the membership? We'll move on to committee reports. Robert, I believe we have the airport committee on the back of the.
No, all I have is just the golf.
Oh, she got it?
Okay, so this is Airport Committee Report, February 2022. Friday, February 18th, 2022, 7:37 p.m. The airport was mowed twice during the month. As a reminder, routine airport maintenance is being accomplished and funded by volunteer pilots. There were a total of 19 aircraft that flew in throughout the month, all members and guests, one of which expressed interest in membership, one booked a day hunt after his visit, and one who stayed at the motel for the weekend with his family. Thank you to Marilyn McNerlin for providing a personal historic tour for visiting pilots. The light at the hangar is fully operational. Thank you to the management for fixing it. It is my understanding that the board secretary requested my name be added to the committee report, which I fully support adding as requested. We would appreciate more direct contact via email for specific requests, so we are not relying on hearsay. Stan Martin, Chairman, Fort Clark Springs Airport Committee, 74TX. Okay, thank you, Mr. Martin. You have this one?
We'll move on to the Architectural Committee. They have graced us with their presence.
Good morning. We've reviewed approximately 10 permits in the last month. 5 had to be tabled for additional information. We've submitted a variance to the request to the board, and we're still waiting on a response from our previous variance request. We've submitted the names of Phyllis Giblin and Victor Valdez to be members of ARC, And we hope the board will approve them today and notify us today so we can have them start on Tuesday. And if anyone is interested in being on the art committee, please let us know. We're still short the number of people that we need. Any questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Golf committee? Golf,
I have golf if no one is here. This is Katie, Wednesday, February 16th, 11:39 a.m. The golf committee met on January 26th for the purpose of approving or appointing Katie Brown as secretary treasurer. Last month, the golf committee paid $1,700 for a new motor for the greens mower. The committee is getting ready for the Las Modas tournament coming up in March. This is the 33rd year for this tournament, which is the largest tournament we have. We are currently going out for sponsors and encourage everyone to support this tournament. We have the support of one of the board members who challenges the other directors on the board, and Mr. Peterson to consider supporting us also. Besides awarding scholarships, the golf committee contributes towards the upkeep of our course, saving the fort a considerable amount of money. The tournament is March 19th and 20th. We welcome all levels of players and are only accepting the first 54 paid two-person teams. For more details, and contact the Pro Shop or David Mann, excuse me, David Mann at 830-563-5657. The renovations to the bathrooms and the course are nearing completion. Unfortunately, COVID held up the process. Hopefully, at the time of this meeting, the work will have been completed. The February end of the month tournament will be held on Saturday, February 26th. It is a blind draw tournament where the A player draws for the B, C, and D players. It is a scramble format that makes it fun for all levels of players. Come out and have a good time. Respectfully submitted, Katie Brown.
Thank you. Preservation?
Good morning. I'm H.N. Bitter, the relatively new president of the Preservation Board. This is our report for February 2022. Prior to the February meeting, myself and Sandy Herman did a walk-around inspection of the service club again to help in future repair proposals for this building. The committee decided to remove carpet and clean hardwood floors in the powder magazine for use during Fort Clark Days as an information center staffed by Sandy Herman. We will help where needed in conjunction with the historical committee in cleaning and painting the fence around the Palisado building for Fort Clark Days. It's mainly damage from the inside of the fence from a previous hailstorm. We discussed at length the need to set priorities for future preservation work on this building on the fort. Two main factors that we're going to hopefully use in determining the priorities on these buildings are the overall use and income of the building, and two, the evaluation rating to keep our real estate tax reductions. The best rating means a 25% reduction in taxes. I'm sure most of y'all knew this, but the worst rating means 10% less taxes, or if you don't do something in a timely fashion, no tax reduction at all. It can get to that. We have to spread our preservation money around the 6 buildings on the fort that qualify for tax reduction from the county and the school district. Thank you. Any questions?
Has the Preservation Committee considered, so the tiered structure is not new, the current tiers are new, right? I mean, there was a pass-fail, and it went from 25 to 0. And now you're going from 25, 20, 20, 10, it goes,
Yes.
so.
Sandy Herman is the expert on that, I'll admit, I'm not.
Yeah, well, it's new.
I'm learning.
It's relatively new. And that's actually adopted by the person who has the most control is the school district, actually. It seems a little harsh in its tiered structure. when you, and I'm gonna get the colors wrong, Linda, please help me if you can. You go from green to gray
To red.
to red.
Red, yeah.
Right, so gray status now drops you to 20%, I believe, which in 6 buildings over time is a significant amount of money. But that's if, when you go from green to gray, I mean, it can simply be paint or something along those lines.
True.
So,
Can I ask a question here? What's the time frame from the time you drop to, say, gray? How much time do you have to repair it before you go to red?
that's, well, see, I'm going even one step further than
Yeah.
that. When you go from green to gray, you automatically drop down in your tier. And that's what I think that it would be beneficial for the fort and the committee, well, the fort in general, but led by the committee, to sort of, let's put together some sort of thought process around going to the historical committee and saying, guys, this is a little harsh. Like, you can't go from, you know, before you went from green, gray, red, and you went 25, 20, you still were at 25, but then the next year you would go from gray to red if you didn't change anything. And so you had a time frame, which is what Linda was asking about. You have a time frame to kind of run down.
Now, I'm gonna repeat what Sandy's told me about it, and that's, if you go like 2 or 3 years without doing anything on a red graded building,
Mhm.
then is when you just are in danger of losing all of your tax reduction.
Right.
So the key thing that she's explained to me time and again is that you wanna spread your, and I'm gonna state that here in a minute, but you need to spread your money around. It's better to do a little bit on more than one building rather than spending all of your money. You know, I want to also take this point to thank Ms. Peterson again for letting us know exactly how much money we've got to deal with here. And it sounds like a lot, that 21,000, said, whoa, we're just loaded with money. That's not gonna go anywhere, and I think everybody knows that. That's not gonna go anywhere to fixing these 6 buildings. Never will, probably. But,
I guess the, I'm sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
anyway, there is some, there's definitely negotiation goes on, especially between, Sandy's had negotiations with her and Commissioner's Court, actually, because that's the county side of it.
Right.
Now, there's some of this comes from the state, the original state laws that allow us to do this, allow, you know, school districts and counties to actually do some of this. I don't understand the complete details on that, how all that works. I mean, there's some negotiating can go on, but I'm not sure how much.
Okay, so my understanding is that at the state level, they cap it, right, at 25%. And then the tiered structure is then set by the school board and the county commissioners. And so our tiered structure last year was, again, the tiered structure I stated before, 25, 25, 0. And now we're going 25, 20,
10,
whatever it is, yeah, 10 down. So I think it would be beneficial for us to, if you could, maybe send us whatever they're giving you, send the board whatever they're giving you as far as how that tiered structure works, because I think it would be in our best benefit. Like you said, $21,000 isn't that much money. We all have talked about in several different instances already on the agenda, you know, that we have to be very cognizant of the dollars we spend. And so getting ahead of this before we have to go negotiate with them would be great if we could say, hey, can we back off this, you know, 2010 structure? Like, we need to get back to where we were before, at least closer to where we were before we have that problem.
We have something in the pipeline right now regarding priority discussions on 2 of the worst buildings.
Great.
And I'm not gonna get into all that.
No.
That's kinda like, I mean, it's, because it may not come to pass, I'm not really sure, so I'm not gonna tell you something I'm not sure about yet.
Sure.
But, yeah, and again, you have to make the school district, or the county and the school district have to agree, both of them, or I'm not sure you get to that, you know, you won't get your actually tax reduction from both of them.
Right.
So they both have to be kind of on the same page with what you're negotiating with them about, you're showing them.
Right.
You have to show them what you, mainly show them what it was and what you've done on these particular buildings, you know. And in fact, all of them, all 6 buildings, you have to do that. And it involves inspection on each one of the buildings. And Sandy's got all kinds of reports, and she's taking pictures of all the different little areas on all 6 of the buildings, you know. And believe it or not, the museum and the Palisado are 2 of our better ones, actually.
See, those are probably two of the better ones in the county.
Yeah, no kidding, yeah. But anyway, yeah, I understand what you're saying. And I think that's gonna be a future, gonna have to be a future situation as far as, I'm not sure we got any room for negotiation on these on the percentages. I wouldn't hold out a whole lot of hope on that.
Okay.
But, mainly because between the state and the county, you know, well, the school district's the big animal in the room, you know, in fact, tax-wise, of course, but, I'm not sure, I wouldn't hold out hope on making any major changes on that.
Can I interject a little bit here? Last year, we had a red rating on Dickman Hall because the repairs were started a little bit later than we'd hoped because of COVID and people sick and da-da-da-da. So we get a red on Dickman Hall. Well, I go nuts because we're trying to fix it and can't. So went in, I called Tim Ward. Tim Ward and I sat down, had a nice conversation. I said, look, Tim, this is what we're doing. They're actually starting it now, but it's not done. I got a green.
Yeah.
Just gonna go in and talk to them,
So that was
that's the bottom
at the
line.
county commissioners level.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the end of the conversation is that you would have our support, and if we're here to help you if you get in that conversation, and just something that, you know, to keep y'all's eye on as you're going through, because it is significant for us.
Well, thank you. We're gonna appreciate it and we'll probably need it, maybe. The way things are going, you know, with the whole system, tax reduction thing. Anyway, and all I was gonna say was, we just have to spread our preservation money around among the 6 buildings, and I've already talked to it at length. I think I've talked about everything I was gonna say to this for the report.
Well, thank you very much.
Any other questions?
Yeah, what kind of tax dollars or savings are you talking about, say on Dickman Hall on red versus
I
green?
don't know what the bill is off the top of my head, but 25%, whatever it is.
Well, so but here's the
Let me give you I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, no, go ahead.
I have, my wife actually looked up some stuff through the public tax records, and if you have to make some assumptions here, but you can look at what the full assessment is, tax assessment is on a given building, and then you can see what the Ford's actually paying.
Yeah.
And so you can get a pretty good idea, you know, and it can run $3 to $5 grand depending on the amount. Say on the highest, say you got a building that's worth more than 100 grand, you can get, well, you can take 25% if it has a green rating, you know. But the best rating, you can actually do fairly well. I mean, it's a meaningful amount of money. I'd always say that.
There's 2 points here that are issues, right? As we develop these buildings and their tax rates go up, it will be more meaningful. It's not significant at the moment. I mean, it is a big number, but in the grand scheme of things, like when you're talking about you run a revenue business of $3 million plus, is it really that big? It is and it isn't. Every dollar counts though, but as we develop these buildings, you know, we need to have this already in place. The time to negotiate is not when you have a property that's gone from, you know, the valuation of $100,000 to $500,000, because they're definitely not going to negotiate with you then when they're looking at how much do you want to get back from us? I mean, right now they're looking at it, it's $3,000 to $5,000. Now's the time to get the system fixed for us as we go. And the other risk is we have a new tax assessor come in and say, I mean, what was the increase on the powder magazine? Not the powder magazine, what was the increase on the valuation of the security building?
Security buildings about 40%, 50%.
Went up 50% over this last year. And of course, we can fight that. However, we're not gonna win all of it back.
We
But if
added,
it was valued at $10, then it went up to
well, we added an
$14.
addition
Well,
to the back.
So what?
Well, if it's $100,000 and it goes
Right.
up, now you're at $150,000.
Right.
So, I mean, yes, that's one example, but, I mean, it's all in the eye of the beholder, right? So the risk is, who is the next tax assessor, right? And they start looking at the different properties and like, oh, well, this is now worth whatever. Well, great, we already have our tax reduction set at if we're agreeing 25%, so on and so forth. So it's more setting the boundary now to say this is how we want it to go, mitigating the risk of valuations increasing over time. So that's the thought process, at least for me.
We really don't know what that an abandoned building is assessed at, or we do know what it's assessed?
Oh,
We know what they are. I mean, I don't have the dollars in front of me, so I don't want to say it without, you know.
But again, this only pertains to the outside of the buildings. You know, you can spend an unlimited amount on the insides of them.
In the changes last year, there were 7 buildings that had unusual adjustments that went up. And I think I protested those 7, we got 4 reduced back down. Like the one down at the security shack, we added part of that building, and it was never put on their assessment. So basically doubled the size of it, and it was never done. So that one we lost. The other ones were not big amounts, but it was worth letting people know I was watching. So.
And they are evaluating property, especially historic property in the city, pretty regularly. I've seen buildings that have been going up, and it's.
But again, it's kind of important that, that we use the limited amount of money that we have budgeted, spread it around, like that's really my point
Yes.
here. And that it's better to fix the worst things on 2 or 3 buildings, if possible, than to just blow it all on one building, because then you're up the creek for another year.
Sure.
So, anyway, any other questions?
Just maybe you want to explain whether or not this is a 25% reduction in the tax bill or a 25% reduction in the value of the building on which the taxes are calculated.
It's the tax bill, to my knowledge.
That's, I know, I just wanted to have you clarify it.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Now we're getting into deep math, and I'm going to have to get out my crayons. So. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm going to give the longest committee report. That's my fault. It's my fault. I apologize. This one should be good, though.
So that's recycling. We sent a shipment of cardboard December 1st, and finally, 6 weeks later, we got the invoice and the check for $3,974. Yay! Amazing. That's the first time we ever had such a bill. And of course, that's minus 10% that we have to give the contact, the middleman contact. So that troubles me a little bit, but okay. We did send the recyclables January 10th, but again, Waste Management seems to take 6 weeks to provide us with the invoice. I don't expect a check because we have to pay the truck $575 on the regular shipment, so we never seem to be able to make a profit. And just to clarify, cardboard, when we send it, we don't have to pay for the truck because it goes directly to the mill. So that's why it's so big, so that's great. And it's great that we're collecting cardboard.
Wow.
So that's maintenance, and the compactor is there, so it's a good system. We had a problem last week, well, I guess it was this week. Somebody, security gave a key last Saturday to somebody that we can't seem to identify. And they dumped, oh my God, I can't even talk. We had cardboard thrown into the recycle center all over. And it amounted to 4 by 4 by 4. It's crazy. And so who has to collect it and pick it up and do all this crap? And so I had a conversation with security. So now we're gonna give them, the list of people that work there. This was not, it was a guy by the name of Adam we cannot find what his last name is. So it was a disaster. So, anyway,
Why would they give a key,
yeah,
period?
big question.
Can we change the laws?
Anyway, we're gonna hopefully fix,
We can do whatever we want to do.
Can we change the law?
It's a matter
just,
of who gave the key.
Well, that too.
Since it's the first time I've heard of it. So
Yeah,
I'll
but-
try to give you an answer.
Oh,
I closed the, we had a forum last week at 10 o'clock. So I closed the recycle at 9:30, and apparently this guy came in the morning. And the security people can't read his name because he signed out the key. So it's Adam. If anybody knows an Adam, I'd like to talk to them.
Adam with a lot of boxes.
Huh?
Adam with a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Do you know what the size of our box is? 4 feet
Yeah,
wide,
I
4
seen that.
feet deep. And this thing, now that it's all cleaned up, is full. That's huge, man. It's I don't know where it got all the cardboard, but anyway,
Do you use universal lock?
it's crazy.
Like
There's no telling what they use. I would imagine every one of them that's ever worked down there has a key to it, so.
No, we
But what I'm
sign our
asking
name
is-
at the gate.
What I'm asking is do we use like a 3395 that's used at the golf course, that's used
Oh,
at the
that, I'm
recycling?
not sure. On all our other locks, yes.
No, our people go to the gate and sign for the key.
Oh, I know, but that doesn't say that those keys haven't been duplicated in the past.
Right,
I found
sure.
people that have keys everywhere, so we
Somebody
replaced most of them, that's one of
do
them that's
vandalism.
replaced.
Yeah, it was apparently last Saturday morning, so, but nobody knows who's Adam.
Well, thank you for bringing this to our attention, and I'm
What
sure
a
Mr.
drag.
Peterson will work through getting that secure so that we can make sure that this doesn't happen again. And
You said you talked to security.
Yeah, I
I
talked
don't
with
have
Matt
any-
yesterday.
okay, Matt, that's what
So
I
we're
need.
gonna, the only thing I could do is give security the list of people who work there, who's allowed to get a key. Oh my God, it was awful.
I would feel better if security unlocked it like they do the adult center versus giving the key.
I'll look into it.
I'm sorry, that was emotional for me, honest. So now is the Las Moras Restoration Project. This is from our chair, Chris Hale. And his report is, we're focused on accomplishing 2 repair projects, which is the highest priority. Repair the, oh my Lord, hold on, I'm reading. Repair the steel inlet gate and grate, and second, replace the cracked sidewalk at the northeast corner area of the pool. It's been challenging to coordinate these repairs, but we think that we're close. Hopefully, the welding work happening this coming week and the sidewalk soon after. And that's it.
I would like to add that in the back of the room is Angela Hahn. The two of us have been working for months now to raffle tickets for 2 pistols. The money is all going to a nonprofit for Las Moras Restoration. We now have enough money with this, but we would hope in the next 2 weeks to continue to sell these tickets. We have enough money to pay for the grate. And now we're starting to work on the cement. Chris wants to do the next quarter of the pool. If you can see yourself buying a ticket, we'd appreciate it. It's all going for a good cause.
Where do you
We're gonna
buy?
go out and beat the bushes the next couple of weeks. We'll be at Fort Clark's Days if you wanna buy a ticket there. Hoping the last day we can sell another $1,000 worth of tickets. It's all going towards money to fix the pool. So I would appreciate your help
Where do you go to buy the tickets now?
Right in that back corner.
Oh.
So,
Thank you.
and we
You're
will
not
be
gonna
riding
get away.
around, and if you see us and you wanna buy a ticket, go like this, we'll be right over. But I'm serious, we're trying to make this go. We've made enough to pay for that grate, they have to hire a welder to do it. So it's a, you know, it's a long process, but the end result will be a pool that is as beautiful and as gorgeous as it always has been, but even better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So thank you, sorry for the commercial.
How
Don't worry,
much
you'll
have
get a
you
bill.
collected so far?
I'm sorry.
How much have you collected?
We are about at 3,700.
Oh, wow, that's great.
Yeah, when we're still trying.
And I know Chris is,
He's got a sword that has
Yeah.
been donated, an antique sword, 1840s. He is now in the process of, I think, handing that over for the next round of raffles, but that's okay. We'll just keep pounding the pavement.
right, yeah, that's great. Travis, I have the community council report, so while I'm here, can I just go ahead and give it, or do you want to keep the order of the agenda?
Well, let's keep the order.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
The election committee?
Get out without killing myself. Good morning. To report, we did get all of the mail delivered in the official email trays to the post office by 11 o'clock on Friday, February 11th. I want to first of all thank all of the volunteers that came to help us stuff and seal envelopes. It's a messy, thankless, boring job, but it was done well, and we're very, very grateful. Also want to thank the committee members who have worked so hard to pull this off, we hope. A couple of things. We had 1,646 membership ballots that were labeled and sent. Every once in a while, a ballot does not reach an address. Please allow 7 days to get to your home, just to make sure. Memo Guzman up here, Director Guzman is the only person that can give you a replacement ballot. So if you need a ballot for some reason, you must contact one of the election committee members. We'll forward it on to Mr. Guzman, or you can let Alan know, and he'll forward it on, but he is the only person that is authorized to issue a second ballot. There are always a few errors in the master list that we use for the label printing. We've already had one where the problem was occurred because the attorney that did some closing papers put in a wrong post office box. We have no way of knowing that until something bad happens. And so we are trying to immediately step in to correct that. Most important thing is please carefully read your ballot and carefully follow the instructions so that your ballot counts. The tiniest little mistake will tell the CPA auditor that to cast your ballot away. So, we're going to meet as a committee, hopefully sometime this week, let my committee members know that are here, to review the process to see if what went well and what we can improve for next fall. And we'll make a report on those recommendations and that summary at the March meeting, at which time we will then ask the board to dismiss the committee until September of this year, when we will have an election and there will be one position open next year. Okay. Are there any questions from the board?
What was the total number of membership ballots?
1,646.
1,646?
Taken right off the bottom of the membership list. We don't sit there and count the list. Computer does it for us.
If you do 67 or 66% of that, it's 1,100 and something. Just so people know what 67% is.
Yes, a lot. I've been here 11 years and there's not one time where we've hit 67%.
I just like to keep the 67%
We
out there. for
We came
people.
close to the special election in
Right.
2020.
I just like to keep that number out there so people remember we need 67% to change any of the
Our
governing
guardians,
documents.
yes, excellent point. Any other questions?
And I want to thank Memo too, he's been a great help. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anybody, anything else? Okay, we'll get those ballots marked, signed, and mailed. One ballot per envelope, please. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. We appreciate the work you all done.
Thank you.
Community council?
Oh, it's bylaws, right?
Yes, there's a file committee report at this point.
Oh, okay. All right, let me get this again. I'm speaking for Kathy Warren as secretary, but has a conflict today, so this is, sorry. Hey, hey, hey. Oh my goodness. Well, sorry. I'm gonna try again. I don't know what to say here. I had it before, but I don't have it now. I don't think I deleted it.
Okay, we have a few items that we can take care of, and when you find it, if you
Okay.
can find it, let me know.
All right,
We'll
very
circle
good.
back.
Yeah.
Really wanted to get me out of order, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it was
If you find
there before.
If you find it, just let us know. Okay, so we'll move on to old unfinished business. So we've got two items listed here, the lease for the wastewater treatment area. This is still an ongoing situation with mud. As every month, we continue to uncover more items to look at and figure out and understand. This is a pretty lengthy process, but I think over time, it will benefit the membership greatly. So I apologize for how long it's taking, but it will be worth it in the end. This has everything to do with how the plant is operated, the leases that we've given, the property that we've deeded, the operations, the cost split between the city and the utility district and the port. And you know, this has everything to do with how your sewage is treated. So this is a rather important item. So if there's any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them. Okay. The solar eclipse chairperson. So this is kind of last month we moved on from this. We were already asking for the membership to step up for a chairperson for the guest and member experience chair. So we received only one application, and we'll announce that this next week. But that person will be responsible for, you know, I think in the last community council report we had two items come to us. One was looking at the ability for the fort to either allow chickens to be held on property or a place to find chickens or to hold chickens. And then another one was a community garden area. Both of these things have to do with the membership experience and what would be put under this chairperson to kind of put together a plan, a proposal, work with the different groups. I think the garden club was interested in part of it, community council was interested in part of it. They were having a meeting at the same time, didn't realize that they were both talking about the same thing. So this chairperson would be connecting those dots to say, hey, you've got this group of people and this group of people. Here's all the different things that, you know, if you go down the path of personally being able to hold chickens, and chickens is just an example. One path would be you're going to have to work through the CC&Rs. If it were something that was more of a community effort, then you've got to look at the community space versus its usage and all that. So there's different paths for the proposal depending on where this would lie. And that's what this chairperson would be responsible for, kind of undertaking and guiding that path. Ultimately, the responsibility still lays with the board, but this is someone just to help streamline that process. So we'll announce that this week. And then same with the solar eclipse chairperson. Again, 2024, we have a solar eclipse coming directly through this area. We are totality. That doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you start looking at it online and understanding or speaking with anyone who has been to an event like this, it can be rather large. I'm sure many of you have heard me speak about this before, but in 2017, the first town in totality in Wyoming was a town of 200 people. They didn't think they were going to have anyone come. They had 50,000 people show up. Guess what? They had to clean up. They had to clean up after 50,000 people. So this is a big deal, and you'll just look for communication about that. There's several people that have already been kind of in the background, gathering information, looking at what this experience is going to look like, what surrounding counties and cities that are also in the path of totality are doing. So we'll definitely have more for you as we move on from that. We'll move into discussion items.
Travis?
Yes.
I have my report.
We will go back to community council report.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had a little technical glitch here. We met February 12th before the forum at the Post Theater. Monthly movies. It was decided that for right now we're not going to continue with monthly movies. The reason is getting the movie licensing cost is more than we're making from concessions and donations. The other major concern is getting any volunteers to help with the concessions. It takes somebody who's willing to order the items, help prepare the snacks, find other volunteers to help sell them for both movies. So we're also in need of someone to set up the projector and the sound system. So we'll look into the matter later. And discussion followed that Community Council will still sponsor the Christmas movie for the Brackenville elementary kids. Allison Watkinson stressed that it was a particular event that did not cost the Community Council anything. And this is an important event for the kids to see a good movie and get some snacks. Scholarship was voted again by the board to not award a scholarship program. We don't have enough funds in the account. And this would be the second year that we couldn't do it. Ghostly tours are a moneymaker, and we'll continue doing that. We made a profit this past year of $875.64 on the Ghostly tour. All lot owning members are members of Fort Clark Springs Community Council. We meet again March 19th at 10 o'clock here in the boardroom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Helena, did you get the 501c3 stuff?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we'll move into the discussion items. I think this is, you ready? No? No? Who brought this up? Did you?
Oh, what? Discussion items?
Yes.
Yeah, I spoke to Mr. Peterson earlier during the week. In order to try to get ahead of the curve regarding pool prices and park prices, I had asked him if we need to make adjustments or keep it as is. It's my understanding, correct me, Mr. Peterson, it will remain as is as last summer.
Right.
There'll be no
rating.
no increase at the pool this coming year.
We'll maintain it this year.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Just as notification, there was one email vote that was taken in the last month we approved the purchase of a used vehicle for for bringing people out to the hunt program. So this is, yes ma'am,
I'm sorry, I had something on the pool, can I
sure, we
make a
can go
comment?
back,
Is that possible?
yes.
Okay. I have just want a clarification